Welcome to Salon Talks. I am Mary Elizabeth Williams, and you know this guy, Tobias Menzies. You recognize him, of course, from all of your favorite binge watches. Game of Thrones, Outlander, This Way Up, Black Mirror.
Oh yeah, that's throwback.
Is that a deep cut? Mm-hmm. And of course his Emmy Award-winning performance as Prince Philip in The Crown. He has a new movie out now that I absolutely love. It's called You Hurt My Feelings. Hi Tobias, how are you?
Hi, nice to see you.
Let's get into this amazing, incredible movie. You play a man named Don. At the beginning, he seems like things are going well in his life. He's married to Julia Louis-Dreyfus. That's a good start. Who is this guy, and what's really going on there?
Yes, so at the beginning of the film, we meet Don. He's a therapist. He lives in the Upper East Side of New York with his wife, Beth, played by, as you say, Julia Louis-Dreyfus, who is a writer. And yeah, their life is good. It's a happy marriage. But there's a few kind of questions starting to arise in him, maybe kind of slightly midlife questions. And then, yeah, in the middle of that, he then sort of, for understandable reasons, commits a betrayal that sort of causes many questions to ripple out through the film about truth and how honest you can be with the people closest to you in your life.
With the people you love.
Yeah, the people you love, exactly.
So this is a bit of a departure for you. First of all, you're in current day, so right away it's unusual.
That's true.
Right?
That's
How
true.
did you get involved? Obviously, Julia Louis-Dreyfus is a veteran of Nicole Holofcener films. This film was written with her in mind, I know. How did you come aboard?
I think Nicole had seen some of my work and had gotten interested by that idea. And there's also a producer, Anthony Bregman, who I'd worked with before. So he reached out to me, and that resulted in a conversation with Nicole and I. We got on the phone. I read it. I really liked the script, and instantly fell in love with Nicole and her brain and how she thinks about things. And she's very interesting to sort of talk to. Just even on the phone, I got a sense that this would be my kind of film, and it would be someone I would really enjoy working with. And then the idea of getting a chance to work with Julia, who I've admired her work for years. So it wasn't a very hard decision to come to New York and make this film with them.
I can't believe you've had such a long and storied career. This is your first time playing an American. That's
right, yes. I guess I've, as you say, I've done a lot of period. I seem to have quite a period face. And that's been a lot of British men. So this is a really nice departure, something I've wanted to do for years in a way. Particularly sort of independent New York film are some of my favorite films, and a lot of them I grew up with, watching. And so to kind of step into that world and sort of make a contribution to that was really exciting. But that was obviously predicated on doing, becoming an American man in this film.
You couldn't be her expat husband.
Funny enough, we spoke, when Nicole and I spoke about it, she said, because she was aware I hadn't done it before, and she said, listen, if you don't feel confident about that, we can make him British, it's not a problem. But I was really keen to try, and I'm really glad we did, because I think it really pays off.
So you've done accents before, obviously. You've done different characters. You've done specific people in history. So how did you prepare to be a New York City man?
Essentially, it's the same mechanism. It's a series of sort of crystallizing and getting really clear about what the sounds are, and then kind of practicing those sounds. And so it may sound odd, but it's the same muscle you're using as when I get into Prince Philip and try and get close to that voice. It's a vocal technical exercise, and the same really is true for an accent like a guy from the Upper East Side, listening lots and just sort of getting relaxed and getting into your muscles really.
That's what I was wondering, because when you're playing Prince Philip, you have a person, you have a template. But
that's right.
Playing a New Yorker,
yeah,
there's millions of us.
Yeah, that's true. I worked with an accent coach, and I got him to record a lot of my lines. So there's probably a bit of him in there, you know.
That's fair.
Yeah.
And you get to play with the incredible Julia Louis-Dreyfus. Now you have played with a lot of strong women in your
I've had
your
good
time.
fortune to, yes.
In your time, and you have said, I think you were speaking to the Irish press, that you really like being the straight man in these kind of comedic parts. What is it about that appeals to you?
Yes, I think so. I mean, I'm not an inherently funny person. You know, some people have funny bones. I think I can be funny if someone very good at writing, like Nicole Holofcener, writes me, you know, funny stuff to say. But I suppose, yeah, adjacent to that, I love working with funny people. I love working with funny women, and so, you know, I guess, for instance, the work I do in This Way Up, alongside Aisling B, you know, another very talented, funny woman. Yeah, I enjoy that kind of foil role, and the sort of, I suppose, coming at comedy from a character actor position rather than something more comedic.
That makes sense, because this is all in the writing, it's in the dialogue, it's in the reactions, it's
in the real situation. So
yeah.
You're really rooting in what's actually happening and trusting that in itself is inherently funny or illuminating.
You're not throwing yourself down flights of stairs. Not in this one, anyway.
Not too many pratfalls.
You've done some physical stuff, but not that. One of the things this movie, I want people to see it because I feel like it's going to get people talking and thinking.
Yes, hopefully.
This is a film that from the opening scene, these two people who clearly love each other deeply are lying their butts off. Like they just start lying, and then they keep lying, and then they lie to everybody. And it's done in this very benevolent way. Has this story changed the way you hear things from people, the way you talk to people? Because you get focused in immediately in this movie that everybody's lying to everybody all the time.
I don't think it's changed how I feel about it. I think it's made me maybe more aware of it. And also, I think I have quite a, I mean, maybe this is a male perspective, but I feel benignly towards those small discretions or small white lies that we sometimes tell each other. Because sometimes they can be kind, they're not always cruel. And it's the way sometimes we navigate and sort of ease our passage through our days and living alongside each other. But yeah, and I don't think, you know, what I like about the film is it doesn't come up with any tidy answers about this stuff. Yes, ideally I think relationships have to be predicated on honesty, but you know, in the same film you have, you know, the brilliant Judy Berlin playing Beth's mother,
who is so excited to see her.
amazing to see her, and she's kind of relentlessly honest to her daughter, but it's kind of not that helpful either. So it's not like just being honest all the time is the solution necessarily. It's yeah, it's complicated, as they say.
There's a great quote that I love that honesty without compassion is just cruelty.
There you go, right.
And but at the beginning of this conversation, you did call it a betrayal.
Yes, I mean, I think but arguably you could say the betrayal is that he didn't trust her with being strong enough or adult enough to take the criticism. In a way, he's sort of infantilizing her by pulling his punches and not saying that he doesn't like the writing that she's doing at the moment. So, yeah, so I guess it's a mixture of those two things. It's both the initial not telling the truth, but then also to persist with it and not trust someone to be able to take it on the chin.
Yeah, I mean, when I think about the title, and I love the titles of all of her movies because they're so provocative, the You Hurt My Feelings, I wonder, is the You Hurt My Feelings that he was not telling her the truth, or that she finds out the truth, the honesty about it?
Yeah.
It's like what, because every time people get hurt in this movie, it's really when people are being honest.
Yes, that's right.
It's when people tell the truth. And there's an interesting question in it too of, can you love someone when you don't love their work? Which is so profound. Have you had that happen in your life where you've had a friend or someone you cared about and they did something and you just thought, oh, uh-oh?
No, luckily no, I haven't had that. But I know that was kind of like the central question, I think, that inspired Nicole to start writing it, was this idea of, I'm very, you know, Nicole, this is Nicole talking, you know, she's very attached to her work and is very passionate about it. What does it mean, you know, could I love someone who didn't love my work, and therefore what isn't, am I my work, or where's the separation? And I really relate to that because I also am very connected and passionate about my work. Thus far in my life, I haven't had to make that split of kind of going, oh, they have no relationship with my work and what I do. And I think I would find that quite hard to bridge. Yeah.
Well, I mean, it even extends further out when you think, can I love someone if their favorite movie is this movie that I really hate, right?
Yeah, and I think, I mean, of course it sounds small, but it is also profound, I think.
Right.
Those things.
It's well, what is our commonality? But when your work is your identity, and your work is who you are, and it's your creativity, it's just such a central and interesting question, because every person, this quartet of people, they're all in their own ways creative.
That's right.
And it all kind of depends on, can you love me if you love my work?
Yes.
If you don't love my work. I want to ask you about some of the other roles you've played. You have been in these projects that have gigantic fan bases.
Yes.
The biggest, the
Some
biggest.
of them, yeah.
I want to ask you, is there one in particular, I'm going to guess it's Outlander, but is there one in particular that people really go, you see the fandom most expressively?
Yes, I think it probably would be Outlander, particularly actually in this country, in the US. Slightly more muted in the UK. It's less of a big show there, but yeah, the enthusiasm, the energy, the passion for those books, and then the series that we've made off those books. Yeah, they just hold that material, that writer, those characters very, very closely to their heart. So, and it seems thus far they are happy with what's been done with it. But yeah, I mean, it's both joyful and sometimes a lot.
And it's been 10 years since you started on Outlander, and it's been a long time since you left.
Yes,
and it's still the impact of your characters.
Yes, that seems to be the case. It's true. I mean, he still seems to be quite live, even though, as you say, it's quite a few years since he was, those two characters were in the story. But yeah, I guess for people who care about those books, those two characters, I guess, are pretty elemental to that world.
Right, and when you have a show that people fall in love with, then they're constantly rediscovering it, and there are new people and new audiences discovering it. It's the same way with something like The Office or New Girl. It's like people discover it and then they fall in love with these characters, and it's new to them. And
I also get a sense that the Outlander fan base re-watch quite a lot as well. They really continue to sort of go back and watch the early stuff, so maybe that's partly why it keeps alive as much as it does.
It holds up on a rewatch, I can tell you.
Oh,
I want to ask you about Prince Philip now.
Yes.
You're the Crown. You were the last person to play him before he died. That's a big thing that will always be part of who you are, Tobias. It's such an interesting role and such an interesting character, because I was thinking about, you had to play a real person in a drama, so there's a degree of, you want him to be as realistic as possible, but it's also fictionalized, and you're also in between these two other men, and you have to be part of this relay.
That's right, yeah.
And there has to be consistency. How did you all work together to create that? It's real, it's fictional, it's
a relay.
It's Jonathan, it's Matt, it's you.
Yes. Yeah, I mean, what's the way? I mean, I suppose I went sort of like 80-20, probably original Philip, but also watched what Matt had done in the first two seasons, and I really enjoyed his portrayal. So I definitely nicked some ideas from him. Watched a lot of the real person, a lot of footage, and listened to a lot of his audio as well. And I guess, I mean, in terms of the sort of fiction versus reality, Peter does a lot of the heavy lifting on that front. He's taking those lives and all the different episodes of those lives and distilling it down to the set of events that he wants to use to sort of articulate what he feels is interesting or true to their lives at that point in the story. And so really, I have Peter to thank a lot for that aspect of it. And then, yeah, in terms of, handing it on to Jonathan, yeah, I mean, that is a really fun thing. It's almost like a theatrical device to have this, this sort of privileged little group of us who have had the chance to have a go portraying this, what I thought, I came to find, realize was a very complex and interesting man.
But to play someone who is living while you are playing him, it's not like playing Brutus.
That's right.
Where anyone's
Yes.
going to do a deep reality check. It's a completely different kind of thing.
I was never in danger of meeting him, I don't think, and I never had a sense that he watched it. So in a way, I never felt too much pressure from it. I didn't feel like I was ever going to get a call from him saying, "What the hell are you doing?"
I was going to ask, because I know you've said you sort of would prefer to think that he hadn't.
I found that a little bit easier. I also just intuited that's probably the truth. I'm not sure he would sit down and watch a drama about his own life. I just doesn't feel like that man.
Yeah. You've done so many different projects, especially in the last few. You're a very busy guy.
I've been trying to be, yeah.
Pandemic comes, it shuts everything down. I want to ask you, because one of the first things you did sort of post-lockdown was you were in Amazon's Modern Love.
That's right, which is how I met Anthony Bregman, which is one of the reasons I ended up in this film, partly.
No way.
Yeah, so we were sort of quarantined in Dublin for a couple of weeks making that episode and got along really well together. And he obviously has worked with Nicole for many, many years. And so, yeah, he's a real link to all this. Yeah.
Now, how did that come about for you?
That was a conversation again with the director, with John Carney this time. And yeah, it was sent me. I liked the premise of it. It had, again, this sort of, again, there's a little bit, it has a sweetness in it. It has a sensual kind of trying to be a sort of hopefulness in those little half-hour episodes. But R1 had quite a big event at the heart of it. Had a chance to work with another brilliant woman, Sophie Okonedo, and so it was a real one of those ones that kind of comes out from left field, and turned out to be a real joy to make. Yeah.
Well, I have to tell you, I loved your performance in it. I thought it was so beautiful, and I have to tell you, you were playing my husband.
Ah.
You were playing my husband. That was
so that
based
was yours?
on my essay.
Is that yours? Ah, really?
Yes.
How interesting.
That was mine. I don't know if you remember, but at the end you give her a moonstone.
Yes. Is this it?
This is it.
Well, there you go.
Yeah.
That's so. Wow, I had no idea. That's you.
That's me. That's my story.
So, okay, I got to be interviewing you now. What was that like to sit down and watch that dramatization? I mean, how did we do?
You did very well.
Okay,
it
good.
was beautiful.
Did we do it justice?
You gave the most beautiful moment in that whole episode to me. The most real, compassionate, vulnerable side of being a caregiver. Yeah. So good work, sir.
Thank you. And did we do okay with, I mean, obviously the illness is only sort of sketched in a way in the show. It doesn't become the sort of central. How was it to have that sort of represented?
It was interesting. Yeah. There's some things.
I imagine the reality must have been much more complicated.
It was a much more complicated thing. I have some. I would have some notes, but the performances, the love story, the parenting side of it, was also incredibly beautiful, really deeply moving. And yeah, when I found out I was going to be talking to you, Tobias, believe me.
Thank the Lord you liked it. As opposed to like, well, no.
I gotta be honest. When we found out who was playing the TV versions of us, we couldn't have been happier. Just big fans of both of you.
Good.
Could not have been happier with the casting for sure.
Oh, good. Well, we really enjoyed making it, and it was and we very much wanted to sort of do you both justice. Yeah.
Tobias Menzies. In the meantime, you were playing another modern New York man, or another modern man.
Yes.
In this, you hurt my feelings. I'm glad I didn't hurt your feelings today. Thank you so much for joining me today.
It's really nice to chat to you. Thank you.